To say that MMOs are a massive time sink would be a bit of an understatement. Given how much time you have to invest in one of these games to truly be able to properly get into them, it's understandable that there are many players who feel too daunted to even try. But there's a massive player base out there that lives for this stuff, and for that player base, there's quite a bit to look forward to. Here, we're going to talk about MMOs coming in 2021 and beyond that you should keep your eye on. A quick note before we move forward. Please consider subscribing and enable all notifications by clicking the bell icon to get new video updates. And while you're at it, please click like if you enjoyed this video. It really helps us out. With that out of the way, let's begin. New World. Amazon are an unproven entity in the games industry right now, and last year's Crucible didn't exactly inspire a lot of confidence. But with New World, it definitely feels like they might be onto something. Action-oriented combat, an interesting setting, a focus on PvP and large-scale battles, New World definitely has the potential to grab the attention of large numbers of people right out the gate. Blue Protocol. Bandai Namco's track record with open-world action RPGs speaks for itself, so seeing them bring that formula over into an MMO is more than enough to pique our curiosity. Based on what we've seen of Blue Protocol so far, it looks like an alluring prospect, thanks to its excellent anime-style aesthetic and a beautiful open-world setting to dive into. Though the game is going to launch in Japan first, Bandai Namco have said that it will eventually make its way over to the West as well, so let's hope that happens soon. Dual Universe. There's no shortage of MMOs that allow you to travel through space and live in vast sci-fi sandbox open worlds, but Dual Universe looks like a game that'll be hard to pass by. With its promise of large player counts sharing the same world and of complete freedom in building your own ships with the resources you have on hand, as well as freely forming alliances or breaking them up with other players, Dual Universe seems to have all the makings of an engrossing spacefaring MMO. Alien MMO. We've been hearing about Cold Iron Studios' Alien MMO shooter for a while now, but ever since Fox Next confirmed in 2019 that the game was still very much in development, updates have been scant. Given the property's inconsistent track record where video games are concerned, skepticism is definitely warranted, while there are also plenty of questions about how an Alien MMO would even work. We're definitely curious to see how it shakes out though, so let's hope we hear more about it soon. Project TL. First starting development as a Lineage sequel, then getting rebooted entirely, then facing multiple delays, Project TL has been through several ups and downs over the last few years. And yet, in spite of that, it's a game that we're more than a little curious about. What we've seen so far looks interesting, thanks to the game's promise of a rich fantasy world to explore and sink hundreds of hours into. And one can only hope that it will live up to that promise. NCSoft might not inspire too much confidence, but hopefully they'll be successful in what they're trying to pull off with Project TL. City of Titans. City of Titans is worth keeping an eye on purely because of how different it looks from what you generally expect to see in an MMORPG. It emphasizes customization, player choice, and interactive storytelling, all in an open-world environment where you get to play the superhero or supervillain of your choice, with traversal abilities to match. With any game that has such ambitions, it's best to tread with caution and not get too excited, but we're hoping City of Titans will do justice to its premise. ELYON. Like a few other games on this list, ELYON has been through an eventful development cycle, which included a reboot. But it seems like it's going to be stronger for it. Everything from its rich fantasy setting to its world, which is brimming with beautiful and fantastical locations to gawk at, from its massive large-scale battles to the complexity it's promising in terms of progression. All of it can, under the right circumstances, come together wonderfully in a deeply engaging experience. Destiny's Sword. We haven't seen a ton of gameplay from Destiny's Sword, but we can say for sure that conceptually, it sounds like a rather unique game. Squad-based PvP faction battles are the name of this game in this sci-fi universe, and rather than grinding to level up and invest in stat pools, players' focus here is going to be on juggling and balancing the mental and physical well-being of their soldiers, because these soldiers, curiously enough, are going to feel the long-term effects as time wears on. With a concept that unique, we're desperately hoping that the game backs it up with solid execution. COREPUNK. Mixing the massive, persistent open worlds of MMORPGs with the top-down action of games like Diablo, COREPUNK is looking like quite the interesting combination. According to its developers, COREPUNK's world is going to be full of things to keep players engaged, from guilds to oodles of lore to battles against all manner of monsters to a wide variety of locations to traverse and discover. Considering what sort of an experience it's looking to deliver, mechanical depth and polish are going to be key for COREPUNK. But developers Artificial Core are certainly saying all the right things so far, so we're cautiously optimistic. Ashes of Creation. Everything that we've heard and seen of Ashes of Creation so far has sounded amazing. Its fantasy world looks lush and beautiful, exactly like the kind of place one would happily spend dozens upon dozens of hours in. With its focus on stealth and ranged combat, it's promising something that sets it apart from what we already get in so many MMOs out there. And with player choice playing what looks like a major role in its story and quests, it's also got people excited about the prospect of being able to shape the game's world and its story. How all that shakes out in an MMO remains to be seen, but we've got a good feeling about this one. The Lord of the Rings MMO. If there was ever a well-known multimedia property that was pretty much tailor-made for the MMORPG genre, this would have to be it. The Lord of the Rings, with its beloved fantasy setting, which is the granddaddy of all fantasy settings, has a world that a talented developer can make a stellar MMORPG out of. Amazon are co-developing this one with ELYON Games, and it's currently set for 2022, which means we haven't seen anything of it yet, but there's truckloads of potential there, so here's hoping it isn't squandered. The Day Before. Recently announced by publisher Mytona and developer Fantastic, The Day Before looks like a cross between The Division and Left 4 Dead. Set in a post-apocalyptic New York City that has been ravaged by flesh-eating zombies, The Day Before will see players surviving and exploring its harsh world, building up a colony of survivors, gathering resources, driving through the city's deadly streets, and crafting weapons, all in the name of survival. Its gameplay debut looked promising, but years of being burned by similarly promising debuts has taught us that it's best to proceed with caution. We don't know if The Day Before will manage to come close to the level of quality its reveal suggested, but if it does, it'll be a very special game. STARBASE. Set in a massive, persistent universe with fully destructible environments and the promise of immense freedom in crafting and exploration, STARBASE has a lot going for it, at least on paper. With its combination of said freedom and what's looking like a very robust physics engine, it seems like STARBASE will be encouraging creativity and experimentation like few other games do, and that's refreshing to see, especially in an MMO. It'll be going into early access soon, so we'll know soon enough how it's shaping up, so keep your fingers crossed. And with that, we reached the end of the video. Have anything to say? Let us know in the comments below. Also, we upload new videos every single day on GamingBolt, so please consider subscribing as it really helps us out. Thanks for watching.